Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I know it has been a hot minute since we have done an update on the Lord of the Rings: A Hunt for Gollum, so I did want to talk about my thoughts here and just give a little bit of talks as to what we can be expecting. So the film is expected to start filming in July, according to Ian McKellen. This was posted on an article by theonering.net. You can go to their website to basically read all of these articles. I'm basically just going to be kind of summarizing what to be expected from these articles here, as well as talk about the synopsis that we got a couple of days ago. So Ian McKellen was on Stephen Colbert's show, and he was asked when the movie was supposed to start filming, to which then he said July, which is unfortunate because it's winter down there in New Zealand, and I'm not sure I want to be out there in the wind and the rain. And yes, I put on the pointy hat and the beard and the nose and the eyebrows and the mustache. And then we know that Andy Serkis is directing the live-action sequel. There's a whole video here. We're not going to read it because we're not going to watch this whole interview because we're going to go off on a big Ian McKellen tirade, and I want to make sure that we are staying pretty focused to what is going on in The Hunt for Gollum. On another moment, on February 11th, theonering.net put a synopsis out there. This was a spy report collaboration with Night Edge Media, brings into what looks like a leaked, possibly official synopsis for the upcoming feature film. So this is something that cannot be verified as a possible final version of the synopsis, but there are a lot of things that we can look at for this as a possible synopsis. So basically a summary of the plot. TheOneRing.net did reach out to Warner Brothers for comment, but they had nothing to share at this time, nor had anyone in New Zealand. So again, this is something that if it might not be real, it might be, it's hard to say for sure, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to look into it, take a deep dive, and kind of just talk about our thoughts as we look at The Hunt for Gollum. It's directed by Andy Serkis, who will also be reprising his voice of Gollum in the movie. It will be produced by Peter Jackson, and it will be written and produced by Fran Walsh and Philippa Boyens. So basically the OG trilogy that Peter Jackson directed. The OG creators are also going to be coming back. Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Philippa Boyens. They are all working together on this movie. And it even says, the creative team behind the Oscar-winning trilogy brings you a live-action movie that bridges the beloved films with new characters, returning heroes, and a deeply engaging origin story that resets the stage for and changes everything you know about the legendary Lord of the Rings trilogy in cinemas winter 2027. And then we have our synopsis. In The Lord of the Rings: The Hunt for Gollum, we meet young Smeagol, an outsider drawn to trinkets and mischief, long before the One Ring consumed him and began his tragic descent into the tortured, deceitful creature Gollum. With the ring lost and carried away by Bilbo Baggins, Gollum finds himself compelled to leave his cage in search of it. Gandalf the Grey calls upon Aragorn, still known as the Ranger Strider, to track the elusive creature whose knowledge of the whereabouts of the ring could tip the balance towards the Dark Lord Sauron. Set in the shadow time between Bilbo's birthday, disappearance, and the Fellowship's formation, this perilous journey through Middle-earth's darkest corners reveal untold truths, test the resolve of his future king, and explore the fractured soul and backstory of Gollum, one of Tolkien's most enigmatic characters of The Lord of the Rings: A Hunt for Gollum in cinemas winter 2027. So here we have it. This is the possible synopsis. Again, nothing is quite finalized, but honestly, this synopsis does give us a lot that we can unpack here. So we immediately are seeing that we're going to be meeting young Smeagol. I think this is something that we are going to be seeing a Smeagol a little bit more of a backstory, as it says, long before the One Ring consumed him. So we're going to be seeing a lot into Smeagol's backstory, who he was as a river hobbit, somebody who lived near the Vales of Anduin, the River Anduin, which is where Isildur was killed and the ring was lost, and then Deagle picked up later. I think we're going to be seeing probably a rehashing of the scene where Smeagol murders Deagle. I don't know if I doubt they're going to use the same version from Return of the King, but they are going to be, at least, I think we're going to be kind of seeing like a summary of Bilbo's life. We're going to be seeing him before the ring took over. We're going to be seeing the events where the ring does take over. And we're going to be seeing a little bit of things after, essentially kind of a big summary. Probably what I would expect in various flashbacks as the story goes on. Because we also have just the whole second paragraph is Gandalf talking to Aragorn, calling upon him to track down Gollum and try and learn more about where Gollum is, so that way Gollum doesn't tip the scales in the favor of the Dark Lord. So this is something where we are probably going to be seeing a major focus on Aragorn. So during this point in time, Aragorn is still known as the Ranger Strider. If they follow the same continuity from the movies, which I would expect, because we're seeing it's all made by the same people, it could be its own story, but I'm not gonna expect that. I'm gonna expect that it's all going to continue in its own universe, because we have Ian McKellen and Elijah Wood returning for Gandalf and Frodo. But Aragorn, who's still known as the Ranger Strider, so he's going to be around 70 years old, because this takes place between Bilbo's disappearance and the Fellowship's formations, which is like a 17-year period. So Aragorn is going to be somewhere in his 70s when this is taking place, and it's going to be looking like it's going to be focusing a lot on Aragorn. This perilous journey through Middle-earth's darkest corners reveals untold truths and tests the resolve of its future king. So we don't exactly know like what the details are going to be. The only little bit that we know of this story is found in the appendices of Return of the King, and that's something that it could be like this really big deal. It might not be. I expect it to be something intense, because we know that Aragorn has gone through quite a bit. He spent a big chunk of time riding with the Riders of Rohan. He did serve a little bit of time in the military in Gondor, and he was the chieftain of the Dunedain, as well as he does spend some time in Moria, assuming what we are going to be expecting, because in the books, Aragorn has a clear distaste for Moria when they talk about going to Moria to cross through there when the Pass of Caradhras becomes too dangerous, and Aragorn has a clear distaste for it, which is understandable. I mean, with the events of Moria, and then Aragorn, if he had been there, he definitely would have that distaste showing from there. So in that aspect, I expect that we will be seeing Moria again, but I don't think we'll be seeing the Balrog. I think that's going to be a little bit too much fan service, if that's going to be the word that I'm going to use there. I think, if anything, we are going to be seeing the lower halls, because Gollum was known to be skulking in the caves of the Misty Mountains, near the lower areas, near Goblin Town, which is not somewhere that's like high up near the summit, but rather more in kind of a like deep delving lower field area. And Gandalf even says himself, there are older and fouler things than orcs in the deep places of the world. So we know that there is a huge possibility that we could be seeing some unique monsters that have yet to be seen on screen. There are the unseen things coming from the unseen world. I think that's where the origins of the Watcher in the Water come from, and seeing creatures like that could possibly be a huge play for the time that Aragorn is going to be spending in Moria. For all we know, this plot as well could just be focusing on Aragorn's time in Moria. And honestly, I genuinely think that is something that would be really, really awesome. Kind of similar to like that of like a Revenant, but rather than doing like the Revenant in a way that is like a survival movie, it's going to be a lot more focused on Aragorn being alone in Moria, searching for Gollum, and coming through all these different challenges. Because again, the movie is called The Hunt for Gollum, and I don't think the movie is going to be nearly as focused on Gollum as we're going to be expecting, as much as the focus is going to be on the hunt. It's going to be on that journey to go and get Gollum, and I think we will be... Now, this is all just me speculating. This is all my thoughts and theories that I might have in regards to this movie. But if it's about the hunt for Gollum, we could be seeing this time where Aragorn is going to be in Moria doing all of just these epic journey, this dark, this creepy, this unsettling presence in Moria, looking for this skulking creature. And it will be really interesting to kind of see like how far the team is going to push it. And the reason why is because Gollum is just a very gross character. That's the best way that I can word it. He's known to be skulking. He's been talked to like a ghost, like a phantom. The woodmen of Wilderland in the eastern side of the Misty Mountains, they have legends of Gollum skulking around looking for cradles. Now, I don't think that they will go as far as showing Gollum like eating human children, because that would just be absolutely disgusting and would traumatize a lot of people, including me. But I think there's going to be a lot of heavy implications. I think we are going to be seeing Gollum in this more we're going to be seeing a more creepier side of Gollum, which I know for a lot of people who watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy, they already kind of thought Gollum was very creepy. I mean, you have the scene in the Forbidden Pool where he's slapping the fish on the rock. You have him when he's just first introduced in the Fellowship of the Ring where he's skulking around Moria. You have Gollum climbing down to try and kill Frodo and Sam in the Two Towers. Just a ton of different areas where Gollum is just creepy. And I think this could be a movie where they're going to try and push those boundaries, as well as they are going to really kind of focus on Aragorn, which I think that is something that is going to be one of the best things that we could see adapted is seeing more depth into Aragorn. I think Aragorn is easily one of the best characters in the entire trilogy. He goes through so much. Even if you take the movie version of him, which I'm not going to go into a huge comparison difference between the movie and the book version, because then I'm going to be here for the next hour, and that's just going to be a lot. And maybe I'll make a video on that if that's something you guys are interested in. Let me know down in the comments. But Aragorn is such a unique character. There are so many moments where he struggles, where he goes through just these crazy challenges to get to the point of where he is. And just the amount of development, the amount of tragedy, the amount of courage, the amount of strength, the amount of just sheer... I don't want to use the word girth, but I can't think of a better word for it. The amount of just sheer power of a man that Aragorn is comes from his backstory that we really only get to see bits and pieces of it hinted through Peter Jackson's original trilogy. Now, obviously, the books are going to go on that a lot more in depth, but not everybody sits down and reads the books. Most people are watching Peter Jackson's trilogy because they're action, they're adventure, and they get intrigued by this character of Aragorn, and I think this is a time where we can see characters being expanded upon more. I think for people who maybe are getting invested a lot into Tolkien's world, they are spending more time watching the movies, watching the behind the scenes, learning more and more. They want more. And I think this is a time period in just Tolkien adaptations where I'm going to be calling it kind of the fanfic era. I don't think the fanfic era is really the right part of it, but I don't think we're going to be seeing a lot of telling straight from the books. Because at this point, the Tolkien estate is only really wanting to give out rights for The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. They aren't touching any of the other stuff or selling out rights for that, which good on them for protecting what they care about. I especially with the way that today's modern media is, I don't blame them for it. But because of that, it means that in order to do a Tolkien adaptation in some way, there's got to be a lot of creative liberties taken. And I think that this is going to be something where we could see these stories of Aragorn being built and these other backstories that aren't even told a lot of. I would love to have seen maybe more backstory information about Legolas, more backstory information about Gimli, though I can't imagine he has a ton, just because of the stories between The Hobbit and the Fellowship of the Ring. He probably lived a pretty peaceful life, both either in the Blue Mountains or in Erebor. One of those two, I don't remember exactly what it is. But seeing some of those characters that have just those unique backstories that continue to be some of the key members of the Fellowship, I really want to see just how we could develop that further on screen, in a big screen or even a small screen thing. And it's going to be harder to do that when the only thing that we are focusing on is the 4 core books of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. But I'm not going to go off that soapbox. That's just, maybe I'll make a whole other video on different Tolkien on-screen adaptations that I would like to see, and then we can kind of talk about that a little bit further. But that kind of gives you guys the idea of what to be expected for The Hunt for Gollum. We're going to be, now this is again all rumor and speculation, we're going to be seeing a lot of Aragorn. We're going to be seeing most likely him inside of Moria, going through all of these singular challenges and what is going to be happening there. And I, for one, am very, very excited to see where he is going to be, what is going to happen with this movie. I am beyond excited for Peter Jackson, Fran Walsh, and Philippa Boyens to come back and take another stab at Middle-earth. I think they have a lot of great things to be able to bring to the table, and I am just always excited for, again, more and more Tolkien to be seen in any capacity, whether it is books, movies, or video games. But that's going to do it for this video, guys. I don't want to go too much in depth, but I do want to just say thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure you guys like and subscribe if you did enjoy the video. And then, as always, a huge shout outs to all of the Ko-Fi supporters. You guys are what keep this channel running. And if you would like to support on Ko-Fi, that is the best way to be able to do so financially. You can do so down in the description below. There will be a link there. So thank you guys again for watching. You are loved, you are valued, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And we will see you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day.